Welcome, Fear and Fiction family. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Every view means a lot to me. We are growing so rapidly. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I'm definitely not no damn AI. I'm a real person. Now let's get it. South Los Angeles is big, real big. More than 800,000 people stretched across dozens of neighborhoods that the news only talks about when something goes wrong. But one of the most infamous pockets is a place locals call the Jungles. Officially, it's Baldwin Village, a maze of long, low-rise apartment buildings built in the 1950s narrow walkways, dead-end courtyards, steep hills that make it feel like everything is stacked on top of everything else. If you didn't grow up here, you don't understand how loud it gets. Kids, sirens, bikes, dogs, music, arguments, helicopters, all layered on top of each other. And even though the LAPD has been trying to clean it up for decades, the jungle still got corners where the shadows feel heavier than they should. Thanksgiving out here ain't the warm family movie you see on TV. Sometimes the streets don't take a holiday, and sometimes the ghosts you carry don't either. Not the supernatural kind, but the kind born from choices you made and can't undo. This next story comes from a dude who grew up right off Santo Tomas Drive, and he swears this is the Thanksgiving that changed him forever. My name ain't important, but I'm from the jungles, born and raised. And before anybody judges me, let me say this: I ain't a monster. I did what I felt like I had to do coming up. But the thing people don't tell you about gang life is this: your enemies ain't the only ones haunting you. Sometimes it's your own choices. Thanksgiving 2017 was the first time I felt that for real. I was 19, fresh out of juvie, still trying to hang around the same homies I grew up with, even though I knew I needed to change. My mom was cooking early, mac and cheese in the oven, turkey already seasoned. The whole apartment smelled like nutmeg, butter, and stress. She kept saying, "Baby, this year, please stay home. No running the streets today. Not today." I told her, yeah, but truth is I'd already got a text from my boys. We sliding later. They caught Solo lacking yesterday. Solo was like a cousin to us, not blood, but same block, same everything. He got hit walking to the corner store that Tuesday. So everybody felt like something had to be done. I told myself I wasn't going, but the guilt, that pressure, that feeling like you owe the hood something, it pulled at me all morning around 1 p.m. I stepped out just to get some air. But you know how that go. Outside feels wrong. The jungles on Thanksgiving feels different, quiet but tense. Kids riding bikes, old heads setting up tables outside, music playing. But underneath all that, it's like everybody waiting for something to happen. I met up with the homies in the alley behind Santo Tomas. 5 of us, hoodies on, angry for no real reason, except grief turns into revenge out here. But as soon as I walked up, I felt off. One of the homies, Trail, kept pacing. Another dude I didn't recognize had a gun way too big for his hands. I should have turned around. I didn't. The mission goes wrong. We weren't supposed to be doing nothing crazy, just driving past a rival block, showing face, making noise, but pride turns into stupidity real quick. As we rolled down Marlton, a group of dudes popped out between the parked cars, 4 of them. We didn't know them, but they knew exactly who we were. Shots rang out, not at them, at us. We scrambled. The car swerved. Tires screeched. I swear I felt the bullets rip the air by my ear. We weren't in a drive-by. We were in an ambush. Trail got hit in the shoulder before he even made it behind a dumpster. I dragged him with me, slipping in gravel, adrenaline burning through my ribs. But the weird part? While we hid, I kept hearing something else, behind me, like someone calling my name, soft, familiar. Lil C? I froze. Nobody calls me that except my grandma, who passed in 2014. At first I thought it was the shock, but then I heard it again, right over my shoulder, like she was standing behind me whispering into my hoodie. Baby, go home. I shook my head, blinked, looked around. Nothing. The shooting stopped. The other side scattered. We rushed Trail into the back seat and peeled off, hands shaking, shirt soaked in blood. The guilt sets in back at my building. I could still hear it, soft, breathy, sad. Baby, go home. My mom saw me come in and froze when she saw the blood on my hands. Where have you been? She said, voice shaking. I couldn't even speak. Not because of the shooting, but because I kept hearing my grandma, like she was there, disappointed. Watching me ruin everything again, I washed my hands in the bathroom, watching the water turn pink. And all I could think was, Solo died on Tuesday. Trell almost died today. And if I don't stop, I'm next. Thanksgiving dinner gets interrupted. We sat down around 6 p.m. Family talking, kids running around, plates clattering. But I wasn't really there. I kept feeling this pressure on the back of my neck, like a hand, like someone was standing behind me, keeping me from getting up. Then, this part gonna sound crazy, but I swear on everything. When I looked at the hallway, I saw the outline of my grandma. Not a ghost, not a spirit, more like a silhouette made of memory, not glowing, not floating, just standing there watching me like she used to when I was little. I blinked and she was gone, but the message was loud. My phone buzzed, a text from one of the homies. They slid back. They hit D. My stomach dropped. If I had stayed out there another hour, I might have been right next to him. That's when the hand on my neck felt like it pushed me forward, not hurting me, just nudging me, like, choose something else. The turning point, I spent the rest of dinner quiet, barely touching my food. When everyone left, I went to my room, sat on my bed, and just stared at the wall. And finally, I said it out loud, like she was sitting right in front of me. Okay, I hear you. I blocked the homie's numbers, deleted messages, threw away the hoodie with blood on it. That Thanksgiving was the first time I realized something. Not all hauntings come from death. Some come from love. From people who want you to leave the life before it buries you. I ain't perfect now, but I'm alive. Because that day, the only ghost I saw was trying to save me. Jacksonville, Florida is the biggest city land-wise in the entire U.S., but most people outside Florida only know it for beaches or football. They don't know the north side, the heart of old Jacksonville, Moncrief, Cleveland Arms, Sherwood, 45th, Pearl, Myrtle Avenue, blocks where the humidity hangs heavy and the street feels like it breathes on its own. More than 950,000 people live in Jacksonville, but the north side has its own laws, its own history, its own ghosts. Down here, people don't always call the police. Sometimes they don't call anybody. Sometimes they go to somebody who knows things the rest of the world forgot. A woo lady, an old school root worker, someone who can bless you, bind you, or break whatever's been following you. This is the story of the time a dude from Moncrief went to one, and what followed him home afterward. Let me start like this. Thanksgiving ain't ever been a holiday I was excited about. Most families get together, cook, argue, eat, love on each other. Mine, half of us ain't speaking, the other half is locked up, and the rest don't show up unless there's drama. Where I'm from, the north side of Jacksonville, Moncrief, holidays ain't always happy. Sometimes they just remind you who ain't there anymore. That year, Thanksgiving 2020, I had real problems on my head. Not family drama, real beef, the kind that don't care what day it is. Me and my homeboys had gotten into it with some dudes off 45th. Misunderstanding turned into tension. Tension turned into threats. And right before Thanksgiving week, something happened that made me realize they were serious. Someone tried to run up on me at the gas station. They didn't get me, but I ain't stupid. I knew I was on borrowed time. My boy Trey kept telling me I needed more than a weapon. He said, bruh, if you want to make it past Thanksgiving, you need some spiritual protection. I laughed at him at first, but fear will make you open your mind to things you used to joke about. That's how I ended up at the house of Miss Loretta, a woo lady, a root worker known all over Jacksonville for handling things the police can't. I pulled up Sunday night, cold front rolling in, the kind of weather Florida get once a year that make everybody wear hoodies they don't normally touch. Her house was small, teal paint peeling, yard overgrown, but the porch smelled like sage and something sweet, like nutmeg or cinnamon, almost like Thanksgiving pies. Before I even knocked, she called out, "Don't step on the third step." Same as before, I froze. How she know? She opened the door slow. Silver braids, yellow eyes that see too much. And this time, she had a tray near the window with Thanksgiving food offerings, a slice of sweet potato pie, collard greens, cornbread. For the ancestors, she said. Everybody leaves them something this week, even the ones you don't believe in. I felt the hairs on my arms stand up inside, candles everywhere. Some smelled like food, cloves, cinnamon, smoke, like Thanksgiving in a haunted house. She sprinkled powder on the floor and said, "You being hunted by men, but watched by something older." I told her I just needed protection from the dudes trying to catch me slipping. She shook her head. "That's the surface. Your real danger is underneath." Miss Loretta made me sit at her kitchen table covered in herbs and old cast iron pots. She put a little brown mojo bag on a plate and surrounded it with a pinch of cornbread crumbs, a dab of sweet potato pie filling, a chicken bone snapped in half. "For your bloodline," she said, "for your protection, for your Thanksgiving." She tied it with red string and told me, "Wear this till the holiday is over. Don't take it off. And whatever you hear, don't answer." I didn't understand that last part until later. The plan was simple. Stay inside, stay low, eat, survive. But Thanksgiving morning, I woke up to knocking. Not on my apartment door, on my bedroom wall, tapping, slow. Deliberate, like someone knocking to be let in. The bag around my neck went ice cold. All day, I kept hearing things move in the hallway even when no one was there. Shadows drifting where shadows shouldn't be. My grandma always said holidays make the veil thin. Back then, I thought she meant emotions. Now, I know she meant something else. Across town, the 3 dudes we had beef with all had something happen on Thanksgiving. One crashed his car leaving his cousin's house. Another got locked up after a stop. The last one went on Facebook Live talking about being followed by something he couldn't see. Every time something happened to one of them, my mojo bag got hotter. Protection ain't free. Somebody always pays. Thanksgiving night around 11:45, I heard footsteps in my apartment again. But this time, they weren't pacing. They were coming toward my bedroom door. Slow, heavy, purposeful. I yelled out, "Who there?" The footsteps stopped. Then, from behind me, right by my ear, Miss Loretta's voice whispered,
"Don't answer."
Let it pass. I froze, didn't breathe, didn't move. Something slid past my door, dragging breath behind it like it was smelling for me. Then the mojo bag around my neck ignited in a burst of heat. Like it was burning from the inside, I ripped it off and threw it. When it hit the floor, the footsteps stopped, and the apartment went quiet, too quiet. Next morning, I drove to Miss Loretta's house, or tried to. The house was fenced off, empty, boarded, like it hadn't been lived in for years. I asked a neighbor how long she'd been gone. He said, "Ain't nobody lived there since before Thanksgiving last year." That math don't add up, but neither does what followed me home. The beef faded. My enemies disappeared off my timeline, and I made it through Thanksgiving alive. But some nights, when the air gets cold, I hear footsteps again, like something still walking circles around my door, waiting for another holiday, waiting for another offering, and I worry. Maybe protection wasn't all I asked for. Maybe something else answered. Cherry Hill, Baltimore. If you know, you know. On a map, it just looks like another little pocket on the south side. tucked between the water and the highway. But when you're actually there, it feels cut off. Rows of brick townhomes and low-rise apartments, narrow back alleys, dead-end streets that seem like they were designed to keep people in, not let them out. Cherry Hill got built as better housing after World War II, but over the years, it turned into one of those places the news only says 3 words about: another shooting today. But it's more than headlines. It's grandmas on porches, kids riding scooters in the cold, Ravens flags in the window, corner stores that know your whole family. And in neighborhoods like this, especially in Baltimore, people keep traditions. Not the kind you see in Hallmark movies, the kind that never make it online. This next story comes from someone who grew up in Cherry Hill, and he says in his neighborhood, if you forget to make an extra plate on Thanksgiving, something comes to remind you. I never believed in any of the stuff the older people in Cherry Hill talked about. I grew up hearing all the random rules. Don't whistle at night. Don't walk behind the rec center alone. Don't ignore somebody calling your name after dark. All those Baltimore grandma sayings that sound made up when you're young. But the one everybody in my family took serious was the Thanksgiving plate. Every year, after we ate, my mom fixed one extra plate, real plate, not paper, and put it by the back door. Turkey, greens, mac, a roll. The whole thing. I used to ask why, and she'd always say, some traditions keep us safe. That's it. No explanation, no story, just do it. This happened Thanksgiving 2018. First one after my older brother Darnell died. He got shot that summer, and the house never felt right after that. The silence was heavier. The cold hit deeper. Even the walls felt tired. That morning, I was already irritated. I wasn't trying to do nothing extra. I was barely trying to get through the day. My mom said, James, get the extra plate. I told her, Ma, not this year, please. She looked at me, real long, like she was deciding if she wanted to argue or just let it go. She ended up letting it go, but her whole vibe changed, and I didn't think about that plate again. Family came through, cracked jokes, ate everything in sight, left around 10. By 11:30, the house was dead quiet. My mom was washing dishes. I was half asleep on the couch. Then there was a knock at the back door. Not loud, not frantic, just 3 slow knocks. I thought it was one of my cousins playing around, but my mom froze like someone had pressed pause on her. She said, James, don't get up. The way she said it made my chest tighten a bit. She wasn't scared often, but she was scared now. The knocks came again. Same rhythm. That slow, patient kind of knocking that feels intentional. My first stupid thought was, who even knocks on the back door? My second thought was, why does it sound like they know we're in here? I went to my room, partly to get away from the tension and partly because I felt like a kid again. I left the door cracked so I could listen. 2 minutes passed. Another knock, this time on the side door. I almost yelled to my mom, but she said, don't talk to it. I didn't ask what it meant. I didn't want the answer. 30 seconds later, knock at the front door. Same slow beat. Like whatever was out there was just circling the house. Every sound felt sharper. The fridge hum, the pipe settling, my own breathing. At some point, I dozed off from stress, then woke up around 2 a.m. thirsty. I walked into the kitchen. That's when I saw the chain lock hanging loose. My mom never forgets that chain. And outside, on the top step, a Thanksgiving plate. Not ours, old ceramic, flowery edge. And the food was still steaming like someone just set it down. I backed up so fast I hit the table. Then, from somewhere in the house, not a door, not the back, but the basement. Slow, like it was reminding me it knew every entrance. I went straight to my mom's room. She was awake, sitting up in bed, no TV on. You hear it too? I whispered. She nodded. I've been hearing it since I was a little girl. I asked her what the hell was going on. She said, In this neighborhood, no one who died hungry stays quiet on Thanksgiving. I told her that didn't make sense. She said, it don't have to. It just has to be respected. Then she told me the part that made my stomach drop. You were supposed to make the plate this year, James. I was waiting on you. I didn't even know what to say. I just felt sick. Another knock hit somewhere. Soft like fingertips. We went to the kitchen. My mom started fixing a new plate fast. Turkey, greens, mac, roll, cranberry. She handed me the foil. You take it outside. I didn't argue, not after everything I heard. When I opened the back door, the cold hit me instantly. The mystery plate that was there earlier, gone. I set ours down on the top step and said quietly, for the ones who didn't make it home. The air changed. Hard to describe, like pressure leaving the room, like whatever was out there heard me. We locked everything, no more knocking. In the morning, the plate was still there, and it wasn't torn apart like an animal ate it. It was neatly picked over, like somebody sat and ate, just like old family does when they're comfortable. Later, I was outside and one of the old heads, Mr. Leon, stopped me. He said, "Your mama still doing that plate?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Good." The year people stop, the knocking gets louder. I asked him what happens if you ignore it straight up. He said, first year they knock. Second year they try the windows. Third year, they walk inside with the coal. I asked him what happens on the fourth year. He looked down and said, families that reach the fourth year don't talk about it. I went home and made sure the plate was gone. That night, when my mom wrapped leftovers, I took out a plate without her asking. And every Thanksgiving since, no matter how busy I am, I make that plate. Because every year, between 11 and midnight, we still hear 3 soft knocks from somewhere in the house. Not loud, not angry, just a reminder. Someone who used to sit at our table still comes home hungry.